Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. What I thought I'd do today is walk you through a set of examples that we have built and deployed across multiple Fortune 500 companies, specifically focused around agentic applications which are on data science and analytics. Right? Roughly around late last year, we started with this thesis on the fact that classical AI, data science, and Gen AI are converging into agentic AI. And then when we look at that from that standpoint of view, likely most of the decision engines that have been built over the last maybe around 15 years will probably be reimagined from an agentic AI standpoint of view. And largely this is going to be multimodal, multi-agent systems that are capturing many of these enterprise workflows. So that's essentially the thesis that we started with last year. And over the last 12 months, or this year, we have seen a number of key developments that are accelerating that particular trend, especially from an analytics and data science standpoint of view. And specifically, I think 5 things that that started around December last year to now have helped accelerate this particular process. One probably is more on reasoning. Today, we are able to execute complex multi-step analysis. So you ask a question, then the application is able to think through saying that here are the 5 second order or third order underlying question that I need to investigate, and then reason around those. And then the second thing that also came out was more around agentic workflows, which became mainstream. I mean, if we look at last year, probably most of the workflows are related around N8N, and those are the ones that are going around, whereas now we have workflows on the mainstream side. And then we have domain infusion, which is going through knowledge graphs and ontologies, which is kind of helping us put not only the domain part into the agentic application, but also any enterprise-specific information that we need to plug in to these agents from a context standpoint of view. This combined with MCP servers and evals is giving us very clear deterministic performance where the LLMs are not hallucinating, but we are able to drive specific questions and specific answers that are running through it. And then if you look at this from an analytics standpoint of view, we need reasoning, and then also specifically from a fine-tuning standpoint of view where I can ask a question to the bigger model, but then it triggers a smaller fine-tuned model which is answering some of the specific things that are necessary for that to perform. And then you have the workflows, the domain infusion that is there, and then I need to combine this with the compliance and the security layer, because if you look at taking an application into production on the enterprise side, compliance and legal needs to approve these agents that are running around. So for example, one of the applications that we have deployed was on the healthcare side, where the reps are using it, the medical service liaisons are using it, and the home office is also using the application. And then the compliance team needs to have configurable guardrails which they can control and see how the applications are doing. This combined with context engineering and also the LLM ops and the telemetry side is helping us drive that performance of the agentic apps that we are deploying at this juncture. So today I thought I'll just walk you guys through 4 specific examples. One is on-demand customer analytics, and many of you would have done customer analytics in the past. It always takes a lot of time for us to execute it, but now with the agentic AI applications, we're able to take complex questions that are coming from home office and then drive that analysis end-to-end and then bring it back to the table. And all these 4 applications, I think, in my mind, are kind of increasing in sophistication. So I'm able to do the analysis. Then in the case of a marketing standpoint of view, you're able to generate the right content and the response, and then execute it from a CRM side. And then segmentation is something that we are using from a marketing analytics side. And then also forecasting probably is the most nuanced, because there are multiple stakeholders that are involved. Everybody has an opinion on what the forecast needs to be, or what are some of the drivers that are driving it. So those are the 4 examples I thought would be interesting to share with you guys. All of these are currently deployed in multiple Fortune 500 companies. They are in production at this juncture, and they're driving impact. So the first one that I would like to walk you guys through is on customer analytics. So in this case, you can see that I've asked a question, and then the application is thinking through what are the different steps that I need to execute. So this includes, is this a question that I can actually answer that is approved? Or maybe I'm not allowed to answer this question. It thinks through that. If there are secondary steps, it's going through that, and then generates a summary from that standpoint of view. If you look back 2 years back, the best ChatGPT was generating was like a Python chart at best. But in this case, now we are able to provide full-scale visualization, and then it's also integrated into the CRM system at this point. So you have the Agentic AI application, which the reps can access directly from Salesforce, or in this case, Viva on the healthcare side, and they're able to interact with those applications. And similarly, when we look at medical reps that are accessing it, they're combining both structured and unstructured data together and driving those insights. So it's not just structured data, but you can also access unstructured data, which is sitting in a different application, and then drive the analysis completely on this case. So that's kind of where we are looking at from a on-demand customer analytics standpoint of view. This is something that we have deployed not only on the US, but also in APAC, like Japan and other areas where you have language that needs to be taken into account, because on the Japan side, the context is a little bit different. The reps behave a little bit differently. The home office behaves a little bit differently. In fact, one of the challenges that we had is that Japanese language is quite formal when an LLM answers a question. It is not kind of what they are used to it. So you ought to take that into the consideration. At the same time, the compliance departments needs to be able to look at all the questions everybody is asking. So the last 6 to 9 months, I think close to 100,000 questions have been asked by reps and medical reps and home office. They need to be able to look into what are the answers that are coming out, trace answers on an ongoing basis, and see if there are any issues that we need to monitor. That's one of the applications that we are able to deploy into production. The second one that's interesting is more on marketing standpoint of view. So this has been deployed with a very large real estate company. I think they are the second largest or the third largest real estate company in the US. And the way they're using it is they scan all the new information that is happening at any given point in time, and then they go back and see what are the new leads that they're able to generate. If you're looking at it from a marketing standpoint of view in the past, any context enrichment that is being done, that has always been a separate process that has been done. So now you're able to identify the lead, take that particular information, and then check it with Apollo or Zoom Info, depending upon what they're using, and then enrich that context for that application, and then take those leads, and you are able to take your existing emails that you might have sent. So if there is an MD or someone else who has written a lot of emails, the agent is able to learn that context on what is the style in which that emails are being written, and then draft the appropriate response. In this case, they are not just automated emails, but you're continuously learning based on what the lead is doing, enrich more context around it, and then write the right response, including images or text that is going to them, right? So that improves the response rate quite a bit. So in this case, the real estate company that is using it, they're able to scale up the total number of marketing leads that they're generating, enrich them on a daily basis, and then send those responses pretty at scale at this juncture. Now, if we shift this a little bit from a marketing to segmentation, which most marketing analytics divisions look at. So this is a case where we are able to run a full segmentation end-to-end, depending upon what the questions are. So this can be a question around what is based on the latest information that is coming in. Let's say your sales are down, or there's a new segment that you believe that is coming up based on demographics. You're able to look into a planning engine which looks at all the data that's coming in, create new personas, reason through those personas, and look into what are some of the drivers that might be affecting that particular demographic segment, and what are the product lines that are resonating with that segment, and complete this entire process. So we kind of designed this segmentation workflow which captures how a data analyst or a data scientist does segmentation using multiple models, and then trigger that from an agent standpoint of view, and refresh this segmentation on an ongoing basis. So in the past, if you look at it, it used to be probably a 3 or 4 member team or a 5 member team which does this work over 3 or 4 months on an ongoing basis. And that always used to be a lot of work. You cannot run multiple segmentation personas at any given point in time. And the latency to do it has been large at this juncture. Now, that entire workflow of the segmentation can be executed within a day or two across multiple data sets. The data sets can be in your main data warehouse in AWS, and also across CRM and other elements. And then we are able to bring all that context together and then drive the full segmentation exercise. A slightly more complex engine is forecasting. So in this case, forecasting, let's say tomorrow is a particular event that has happened from a pricing standpoint of view, or some product has a stock out scenario, then I need to review how the forecast is from last quarter that somebody might have done, look at the actuals that are going in, and then also there is a lot of opinions when we do forecasting in an ongoing basis. So I got to go back and see if a particular assumption is still accurate or not accurate. If it is not accurate, somebody might want to smoothen that particular aspect. So that entire aspect is now encoded into the workflow. This is where we are looking at from a domain infusion standpoint of view, where a knowledge graph is capturing all the steps that today a forecasting team is performing, and then take that context and then plug that into the system. In this particular scenario, if the business has a question tomorrow around how would my forecast change next quarter or next month because of a disruption or a particular activity that has happened, we are able to run that scenario end to end at this juncture. Look at the risks and the opportunities that are there, and how that would affect the performance for a given product or a business line. And this is being done with human in the loop, right? So the team is able to supervise what are the different algorithms that are running from an agentic standpoint of view, and also adjust those across the different steps that are happening, right? So this gives complete control and transparency to the teams which are doing forecasting. And in my mind, at least, forecasting is probably the most nuanced and most opinionated if you're doing marketing analytics, because business has an opinion, the data scientist has an opinion, and the operations guys have an opinion, and all of this needs to be tallied again next quarter, next month, on an ongoing basis. So that these are a couple of reasons why I believe that analytics and data science is at an inflection point from an agentic AI standpoint of view. Because if we look at all the analytics that we have done, and I've been in the industry for, I think, 20 years now. Pre-2010, we used to do all of the analysis in SAS. Most of the work is logistic regression or linear regression. And I would say the first inflection point was around 2011 or 2012, when the first big data clusters came into play, where we had access to much larger data. And then probably around 2016, 2017 is when the cloud and the ML side took off. So I think probably in the next few years is where we can relook at all the decision engines that have been created over the last 15, 20 years, which will be redone from agentic AI standpoint of view. So it's not just me saying it. But what we did is, in the last 2 months, we asked Forrester to run a survey across roughly 400 different analytics organizations. And primarily the survey respondents are all decision makers, or they're running the particular analytics departments. And overwhelmingly, most of them are basically saying that, they expect human-in-the-loop agents to be coming online over the next year, and then probably many of them also getting to autonomous levels in the next 24 months. So this is across 400 different organizations on what they expect to happen in the next 1 to 2 years. And then they're also expecting agentic analytics to play a significant role in the next 2 years. Because if you look at it, they're expecting agentic analytics to automate many of the routine analytics that the departments are doing today. And they're also expecting many of these core workflows to be able to generate insights at a much faster pace. Like roughly half of them are basically saying that the speed in time to get those insights should be like half the time what it takes today, and probably it should roughly cost half of what it costs us today to do analytics. So that's a significant chunk of people that are working on this. And one of the questions I would ask the audience, I would leave this with this question, is that if every big tech organization is saying that they're going to have a mid-level software developer or a junior software developer to come online in the next 12 months, I think the question that I'm asking is that how long it would be before you have fully functioning AI analysts which are doing analytics at scale. My guess is probably another 2 or 3 years. I would say next 2 years is going to be mostly human-in-the-loop systems like the ones that you guys have seen, whether it's segmentation or forecasting. I would say most of the analytics that we are doing can be redone using human-in-the-loop systems. And then as we get more comfortable with these systems, I would expect them to kind of be more and more autonomous, where you can say that, okay, there's a system that's running pricing on an ongoing basis. You'll have an analyst who is monitoring it maybe once every 2 days or 3 days and see if everything is going fine, but then they're largely kind of running that function on an ongoing basis. And that's broadly what we are expecting on how analytics is going to change and data science is going to change over the next maybe 4 or 5 years. So those are a couple of things I wanted to share today. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer on how we have developed and deployed some of these analytic systems over the last year.